Hello. Happy Monday night, everyone. Welcome to Facebook Live. I'm Martina Hughes, love, intimacy, and relationship mentor. I created Tantric Blossoming 13 years ago to support men and women to access more of their full potential, to empower men and women to discover, express, and embody their authentic selves. And along the way, discovering how much people's intimate lives can be transformed as a result of knowing themselves more deeply. So tonight our topic for the Monday Night Live, which I'm going to be doing Monday Night Live each week from here on in. Hello, Sahara. I haven't heard from you in a long while. Hi, Shelley. Shelley was at our one-day workshop yesterday, Men, Women and Love. I can see Emily's on, Nicole, Kira, Rita, Leonie. Welcome. It's beautiful to see so many people joining for these discussions. So tonight's topic about masculine and feminine energies. Why do we need access to both? Why is that important? How does it impact our lives? So to tap into something we were talking about last Monday night, a woman in today's world, it's become quite common for women to be overly in her masculine energy. There's been a big tendency for women to step into that place of women's empowerment, of course, which is natural. We needed to have women's empowerment. It was a necessary move for us to be more whole, for us to have equal rights, for us to be able to go out into the workforce and earn what we deserve. The challenge in it is that instead of taking our feminine essence or our feminine energies into those spaces, we became overly masculinized. So what do I mean by overly masculinized? Overly masculinized means that we've taken on these layers of toughness, of independence, striving, driving, and in that there's kind of an unhealthy masculine. There's a sense of pushing and trying to make things happen all the time. There's a sense of just steeling up and getting by in the world. Like, I'm tough, I'm good, I've got my own back, I can take care of myself, children, extended family, friends, whoever else, and this is what I'm doing. And in that mode, a woman becomes so focused in her masculine that she neglects her feminine energies. And this is where the real detriment is, because we can have our masculine energy be alive in a healthy way, but when we do that at the detriment of our feminine energies, then women become burnt out. Women become exhausted. It gets to the point where a woman becomes unwell because she's spent so much time in that pushing, driving, striving mode that there's no space for the inner nourishment. There's no space left for her to fill up her own cup. Women need to be able to nourish and drink from their own feminine well first. If they don't know how to fill up internally first, then we do become brittle. We end up lacking resilience. And so then something goes wrong in our lives, and it means that we'll get wobbly. It means that we kind of break and fall over. The other impact is, and I've seen this in my life and in my current relationship, when a woman is overly independent and always using her own masculine energy, there can be a fear of letting a man in. There can be a fear of allowing space for a man to contribute to her life. So the way this looked in my life, I'd had Rod say to me a few times in the past when we were in our early stages of relationship, he'd said to me, it feels like you don't need a man. It feels like you don't need me in your life. And when he said that to me, it kind of struck a chord inside. It's like, I've heard this before. I'd heard it in a past relationship. And there was a part of me that wanted to go, yeah, I don't need you. But then there was another part underneath, like the feminine part of me, the part of me that was deeply longing for a relationship was like, oh, yeah, I do. Like, I really do need him, and I do want him in my life. And so what is it in me that creates this impression of not needing a man? What is it in me that would push a man away? And then I realized I'd become so self-reliant in my masculine energies that I wasn't allowing space for a man to contribute to me. But as soon as I gave up some of the decision-making around relationship, around my life, and started to use Rod's masculine energy rather than always using my masculine energy, something changed, and it changed quite dramatically. Because I could relax. I have to make a lot of decisions daily and weekly for my business, but there are some decisions that Rod can support me with. There are some decisions around family and house and our life together that I can actually let go of. And the more I started to let go of some of that decision making, the more free I felt, the more love could flow through my body, the more space there was. And I noticed that as I gave up some of that decision making, then Rod felt more empowered too, because he then felt like he could contribute to my life. He felt like his role in my life was to serve, to support me in making decisions that would serve my highest good. And the way that I can support him to serve me best is by sharing information with him, by sharing with him how I feel, what I need, what goes on inside of my body, sharing with him what my feminine needs are. And so I discovered that the more I shared my feminine needs with him, the more his journey as a man like just really came into a whole other level of strength. And I quite often hear women say today, I just wish a man would step up. I wish my partner would step up. Why won't men step up more? But the truth is, a lot of women are not allowing space for men to step up because we've become so reliant on our own masculine energies. So the more we are self-reliant and act like we're a self-contained unit in the world, the less space there is for a man to contribute to us. I notice the more expressive I am in my feeling self, the more I share with Rod how I feel through my voice, through my sounds, through my body, through my appreciation, through negative feedback if there's something that I don't like. And when I say negative feedback, I don't mean blaming, venting, dumping on him, throwing emotional storms in his direction. What I mean is just like, oh, that doesn't feel good. Or, oh, yeah, I'm really sad that you won't be around for that. That doesn't feel good. Or, oh, I'm really upset when that happens. Like, that's not good for me. So to be really clean in the expression of our feminine energies, rather than using manipulation, guilt and shame, which can be classic unhealthy feminine defaults, to be really clean, expressive, and allow the energy to be articulated through our body, through our sounds. Yes, using words, but not going into being overly analytical or overly intellectual, allowing our feminine bodies to speak from that primal, raw place actually calls a man to attention, actually calls a man to notice what it is that's going on for us. the funny thing is, women often think this is a disempowered position, but in actual fact, to express our vulnerability is so, so, so powerful. The amount of changes I've seen in my relationship with Rod as I step more into embracing my vulnerability and communicating from that place is amazing, because he wants to serve me. He wants to serve us and support our relationship. And the more I express my vulnerability, then the more opportunity he has to serve and support in those ways. Devaji has just said maybe she has to step down so he has the space to step up. And that is 100% correct, because polarity is like the law of opposites. So the more a woman is in the masculine polarity, the more a woman is strongly holding that position, then the more she will propel a man into the opposite polarity. She'll propel a man into the feminine polarity. Whereas if a woman falls back into her feminine energy, and I always say falls back because that's our natural position. To fall back into our feminine polarity is a natural place to be. It's the most nourishing, rejuvenating, inspiring and healthy place for a woman to be. So when she falls back into the feminine, there's space for a man to come along and hold himself in the masculine polarity. Any attempt to have a man step up to demand, to bully, to manipulate, then attempting to push him into the masculine is counterproductive, because attempting to push him into the masculine is just going to cause discord and disconnection. Now, for the single women who are listening to this, you might be wondering, well, how does this apply to me when I'm single? Because I still need to take care of my own masculine energy. I still need to make my own decisions. And that's true. However, we need to lead our lives from the feminine place. We need to embody the feminine energies in the way that we're moving through the world. Because if we move consistently from a masculine energy, as a single woman, you will then attract masculine men. Whereas when you move through the world in your feminine energy, then you will attract masculine men into your life. So as a single woman, you may need to take care of work and house and children, but it's important to allow space to cultivate and flow your feminine energy every single day. Now, to give you an example from my life, over the last 8 weeks, many of you may know Rod had an accident, and he's been unable to do a lot of the things he normally does. So I've needed to do all the driving, all the grocery shopping, the cooking, with some help actually, help from friends and family, washing, household chores. There's been a lot of things I've needed to do. And so in the past, if I'd had a lot of extra things that I'd needed to do, I would have gone into a strong masculine energy. I would have gone into that mode of, I'm getting shit done and I'm tough and I can take care of myself. What I recognize in this time while Rod's been sick, I've been able to do a lot of things and still stay soft and in flow and graceful with it. So even though I've been quite active across a lot of areas of life, I've also been staying really connected to my feminine, expressing how I feel, going to Rod at times and saying, I'm just so tired now. Can you please hold me? And other times being like, I'm really overwhelmed. I need to take a few hours to myself and have some quiet space. And then in that quiet space to have a bath, grab a hot water bottle and have a nap for a while, to dance, to move some energy, to cry sometimes, to just allow the feminine expression through my body. And so keeping that feminine expression alive and moving through my body means that I've stayed soft. I've also been going to Rod with business questions, with personal questions, and going, I need your support, I need your help. So letting him still play that critical masculine role of giving me structure, direction, helping me to focus, giving me clarity around things that are going on. So in that way, even though he's needed extra support and nurturing from me on a physical and emotional level, it's also been that I've been able to receive from him emotionally, but I've also ensured that I've stayed in the feminine polarity with that. Just reading a few comments. So Devaji says, she needs to feel safe and trust is essential to be vulnerable. So much love for your work. Thank you for your comment. Robert says, I agree, as after a woman has been single for many years, she has learnt to be independent and use her masculine and feminine energies. Then when a man finally comes into her life, it is hard for her to step back into a pure feminine role. And that is so true. And it's why we need to actively cultivate our feminine energies each and every day. So for the single women watching this, my recommendation is utilize your masculine for what you need your masculine for. Utilize your masculine energy for creating structure in your day. Utilize your masculine energy for clarity and decision making, for focus, for direction and drive. And then when you don't need your masculine energy, drop back into your feminine. Communicate, connect, live from the feminine place. Even if you work in an office space, a lot of women think that to be in an office, they need to be in a masculine role. But the truth is, you can be working in a more masculine environment. You can be in an office space and keep alive your feminine gifts of empathy, connection, intuition, nurturing, sensitivity, ability to speak from feelings, ability to feel into others. If you keep those feminine gifts alive and flourishing each and every day, you will feel so much more full and rich in your feminine energy. Ananda says all of her decisions are from her intuition. And that's beautiful, beautiful. Like, allow that to be the case. Allow your feminine intuition to guide you, whatever it is that you're doing. So I'm just curious if there are any questions out there. If there's anything that you'd like to know about masculine and feminine energies, how it plays out in your life, then pop any questions or comments in the chat box. I'd love to hear from you. If you're resonating with what I've been saying, then type a yes in the chat box. If there's anything you'd like to ask, go ahead and ask that. I'd love for this to be a community space where we can share inspiration, share what's going on, and I'd love to hear how the masculine feminine integration, how that works in your life as well. And you might even want to say hello to my cat. This is Hades up here. Hades likes to join me when I work, so he's a good sleepy cat and loves being part of the tantric community. So we have a number of people saying yes, and I've got is it a question here from Emily? Emily says, in self-development, it's always seemed made to feel bad if I needed a man. Can you explain the difference that you mean here? So I never let my man in far enough for me to actually need him. Great question, Emily. So I understand, and please comment if you need further clarification on it. But I get that what you're asking is that in today's world, in personal development, there's this suggestion that if we need a man, we're weak. There's something wrong with us. We're meant to be able to do it on our own. Now, that's true. You know, I could live my life on my own. I can take care of myself financially, emotionally, mentally, physically. I can do all those things on my own. However, there are parts of myself that are only fully expressed when I'm in a relationship with a man. There are parts of myself that are best evoked when I feel safety in my relationship. My partner, Rod, is an incredibly masculine man. He's very direct. He's incredibly supportive. He has a strong desire to direct and lead. And in that, he really wants to take care of me. And so feeling that strength of his masculine gives me a space to soften into. It gives me a space to surrender into that is far greater than any space I could create on my own for surrendering into. Sure, I know ways that I can surrender as a woman on my own, but surrendering in the context of a safe, loving, empowering relationship just takes it to a whole other level. So whilst all these things can happen in life solo, being able to share the journey with a man and to fully surrender, to have that place where I'm like, oh, he's got my back. He's there for me. If for some reason I'm struggling, he will be able to support me. If for some reason I'm unable to have the strength to take the next step in my journey, he will be able to give me the encouragement I need. And really for me, it was quite a journey to really let my guard down so I could let him in more. I've been through a number of really big steps of vulnerability, of letting Rod in, letting him in, and revealing more and more of myself, revealing more and more of my vulnerability. And I remember back, maybe it was probably about 3 or 4 months ago, being on a Skype session with one of my mentors and her saying to me, you need to be more vulnerable with Rod. And I went, you're joking. I just thought she'd lost the plot. Inside of myself, I was like, how on earth could I be more vulnerable? I thought I had maxed out on vulnerability. I thought I'd let Rod into every area of my life. But within the days and the weeks after that session with her, I could see how there was still a part of me that I was keeping separate from Rod. There was still a part of me that was trying to clarify and work through my feelings before I revealed them to Rod. And when I noticed that, I went, I'm still protecting. So what I did after that was I actually became even more committed to revealing my feelings as much as possible in the present moment, to being spontaneous, to being instantaneous even, to be able to say to Rod, this is what I'm feeling now, as it was alive, rather than going away to process it. So Emily, if that's a question for you, how to let him in some more, my suggestion is notice the parts that you keep separate. Notice the parts that you hide from your partner. Where do you hold back from sharing your feelings? And then step in a little more to share things in the present moment, to share things as they're unfolding for you. And the more you can do that, the more he will feel trusted by you. And the more he feels trusted by you, then the more that he will step into that stronger masculine position for you. Okay, I can see some more questions coming in. Leonie asked for hints on how to switch off. So I know for some women there's a challenge around dancing, but the number one way I find to switch off and go into feminine energy is music and dancing. So if you're somebody who likes music, who likes dancing, put on some loud music and just dance. Allow your body to express, allow sound, allow movement, and give yourself heaps and heaps of permission to be, to express, to let the music ignite and animate your body to just go wherever it is that you need to go. Now, if dancing's a problem, then I suggest you have a bath. You could have a bath, put on some beautiful soft music while you're in the bath. You could, as I said earlier, have a hot water bottle and just spend some time lying down with a hot water bottle nestled against your chest and just supporting and holding yourself like that. There'll be times when I play with my cats to switch off. I have this one behind me and Juno, another cat, and they both love to play. So I'll spend time with them, playing with them in cardboard boxes or pieces of string or whatever the current flavour of the moment is. But I laugh with them, I have fun with them, and then that switches me back into my feminine energy. Some days it's cooking, like I'll spend time cooking and I'll just be cooking for fun, and after spending time with food I feel rejuvenated and nourished. Other days I might touch my body just to take some time to just caress and touch and love my body. I might do a beautiful breast massage. I might just go and lie somewhere in the sun and do nothing. I might go and grab a chai at my favourite cafe and just sit there and write in my journal how I'm feeling. I might have a chat with a girlfriend and just go and just focus in the chat on how I feel. Yeah, this is what's alive for me now, you know. This is happening, that's happening. Download how I feel. Other times I'll go and say to my partner, can you hug me right now? Because I can feel that in his arms I'll just like melt and switch off. So I hope that helps, Leonie, for suggestions on how to switch off. I also noticed, Leonie, that in last week's you made a comment about being a little more tomboyish in your energy. And it's true that women can be tomboyish. They can have that flavour of masculine energy in their presentation. My experience is, though, that most women, not all women, but most women have a greater desire to experience openness, to experience flow, to experience surrender. And that's the defining factor. To know whether you have a feminine essence is, do you long to open, or do you have a strong desire to penetrate the world? Now, most women, they long to open. They long for that sense of flow and surrender. And in that, there's a deep longing to give our love. Whereas for men, their desire is around penetrating and creating openings. They are more mission focused. They are more like, how do I do this in the world? How do I give my gifts? For women, it's about how I give my love. And so that's how you know if you have a more feminine essence. So you can have a more feminine essence and still, in having that feminine essence, you can still have a tomboyish or a slightly masculine presentation, but you'll still have that desire for softness. And when I talk about feminine softness, I'm not talking about passivity. I'm not talking about being a doormat or any of those submissive qualities that are confused with softness. I'm talking about being soft in such a way that you allow energy to flow and stream through your body. You're not holding yourself tight and contracted, but you're receptive and open such that things can move through you. A soft woman can still be wild and fierce. A soft woman will still have appropriate boundaries as defined by her own masculine energy. Let's see, what else do we have? Sahara would like some hints on how to re-trust a man will hold a space for her to be in the feminine. And that's a really tricky one, Sahara. I totally understand that, and I've been through that myself. And a key part of it is knowing your own boundaries and knowing you will have your own back, knowing that no matter what happens, you will be discerning enough to have your own back, that you will know when to say no. And then also trusting yourself enough to surrender in this moment. Part of what gets in our way of surrendering, of falling back into our feminine, is that we think we're going to get lost there. We think that we'll fall into the unhealthy ways of the feminine and that a man will walk all over us. But when we recognize that I can surrender and feel soft in this moment, it's just for this moment, then it can be the next moment. And when we enjoy the next moment, we can soften and surrender to the next moment and the next. And so then it's an ongoing unfolding, softening, surrendering, which takes us much deeper inside. And to just remember that in a certain way, you're surrendering to yourself. As a single woman, surrender to yourself today. Surrender to the energy that flows through you. And you'll start to notice there's a rich and a beautiful, full feeling that comes from that place. And you can trust a man knowing that if he lets you down, you can communicate. This is part of our problem as women, is that sometimes we just forget to communicate. But if you trust yourself enough to say, that doesn't feel good, I feel let down, I feel hurt, then as long as you trust yourself enough to communicate, you will know when you need to draw boundaries. So in order to trust a man to hold space for you, you also need to trust yourself enough to have your voice. So if you're single right now, practice having your voice. Practice asking men to support you. Practice asking men for favors. Practice sharing with men how you feel. And notice how it feels. Like, allow yourself to communicate in those ways as a single woman so that you build the muscle so that you can trust that a man will want to support you. I hope that helps, Sahara, and if there's any further questions on that, feel free to type them in. Just going to read Hazel's question here. How does one transition between the two? I'm a business owner. I feel like I'm forced to live in the masculine and uncertain when it's safe to be in the feminine. I'm still working out the masculine-feminine balance within me. I have a man, so I'm also figuring out how to ask for support. He really wants to take care of me too. I struggle to communicate my feminine needs or even know my feminine needs. So it really begins with practicing, Hazel, especially in your relationship. Use every opportunity to practice. And I'll give you a few simple tips. When Rod and I started dating, I would do simple things like say to him, we'd be in the car and I would just say, I'm cold. And I would not touch the heater. He would turn the heater on for me. If we were out somewhere and I was thirsty, I would say, I'm thirsty. And then he would be like, oh, what would you like to drink? So note it feels silly in the beginning, but by saying I'm thirsty, then I'm expressing my feminine feelings, and it gives the man the opportunity to say, I'll get a drink for you. What would you like? Whereas if I just go, oh, I'm going to get a drink. Do you want one? Then I'm not giving him the opportunity to support me or to serve me in those ways. So start with small things. But also on a physical level, when you're around your partner, just practice letting your body be soft. Like breathe into your shoulders and soften them. Breathe into your pelvis, soften through the pelvis, soften through the hips, the thighs, the buttocks, the back. Let your body be soft. Reflect back to him, show him appreciation, show him how you feel. These are all feminine ways of being. So that then the more he notices how you feel, then the more he feels connected to you in that way. In terms of your business and being a business owner, during your day, take time to just put your hands on your body, to breathe, to soften, to feel energies moving through you, and to just be with that, to get comfortable not having to always be doing stuff or directing or making things happen, but to get comfortable with just when you come home from work, take time off to have a bath, have a dance, be with your feelings, journal a little bit of how you feel about your day so that you're switching off. During your day at work, you might go to the toilet and just shake off the busyness of the day and then come back into your feminine feeling nature. There's lots of ways for switching off. We certainly cover this a whole lot more in our Blossoming Woman Level 1 course, which is coming up soon, September 1st and 2nd. I have a question here from Fabio. I've been told by a good friend of mine, female, that who you know, I play my daily role with feminine energy and she does the opposite. We attract each other. But how can I turn around and just use masculine energy as I wish? Because I feel just to be myself as usual. And she brought this concept up with me. And honestly, I'm not sure how to deal with this. So the thing to notice, Fabio, is, are you having the quality of connection that you desire in your life? Are you having the quality of relationships that you desire? Because if you are, then so be it. If you're not, then maybe there's some questions to look at here. But what will happen is, if you're leading your life from that feminine energy position, then you will attract women who are in their masculine energy. And at some point that creates conflict, because you will feel at some point that you want to be masculine, that you want to direct, that you want to lead. And at some point she will feel that she wants to be supported. And then she turns into a woman who's saying, I want the man in my life to step up. I want a man who's stronger. But if you're happy being with a more masculine woman, then that's okay. So I'm not sure if you want change or if you think you should change based on what your friend said. So yeah, I'm going to leave that there for now, but if you wanted to add something further, maybe pop it into the chat box. Shelley says, I have been experiencing with online dating that men are wanting and waiting for the woman to initiate, which is something I'm trying to step back from. Definitely step back from initiating. When I've done online dating in the past, I would not initiate. And it actually then just means that some conversations just go nowhere, and so be it. If I was chatting with a man for a little bit and it wasn't going anywhere, I might say, yeah, I'm not enjoying this online chatting so much. My preference would be to meet up in person. So I can state my feelings and my preferences without initiating. So in that then, it becomes really simple, because if you say to a man, my preference would be to meet up in person, and he does nothing, then he doesn't have the masculine energy to lead. If you say, my preference would be to meet up in person, and he goes, okay, what are you doing Saturday? Then awesome. The thing about online dating, the thing about dating in any format, is that you kind of need to meet a lot of people, speak to a bunch of people, till you find the one that is the right click for you. And what I know from my own experience is that when I was younger and I would lead, I would initiate, I would be a little bit in a masculine hunter mode. I would be the one making it happen, which would then mean that I would end up with a man who was resting into his feminine, and then I'd become resentful and it wouldn't work out. So what I worked out approximately 6 or 7 years ago is that any relationship I wanted to be in, I wanted to be with a man who was strong enough to initiate. And that means sometimes allowing a man to feel me. Like I remember before Rod asked me out, we were at an event and we shared a hug. And in the hug, I let him feel the response of my body. I let him feel how my feminine was responding to him, which actually supported him to feel inspired to ask me out. And then when he said something afterwards about how affected he was by the hug, then I also shared with him that the hug had an effect on me. So there was the vulnerability, the connection between us, that he could then initiate and ask me out. But the men who, if they don't initiate, if they don't ask, that's okay. Because you want to feel feminine. You want to feel that someone's directing. And the more you express your feelings, like, yeah, I really love to go to cafes, love going out for lunch. I love really nice quality cafes. And then if a man takes you to, let's say he takes you to a pub when you've just told him you like really nice quality cafes, he's probably not for you. But express your feelings and just come from that place of, yeah, this is getting really boring chatting online. I'd love to meet up in person, and leave it to them. Okay, what other comments do we have here? Jessica says switching off in nature for feminine energy. Definitely, that's a great suggestion. Sufio says absolutely. I'm not sure what that absolutely was in relation to now. Leonie says true, it feels nicer to be soft. Awesome. So you can relate to that, Leonie, that you want that feminine softness in your life. Devaji says soft and in flow and graceful. Oh my God, is so concise, and this live thing is so wonderfully articulated. So much respect. Thank you for your appreciation. Sahara says thanks. Hazel says, oh wow, that's illuminating. Devaji says no. And Sufio says, what's the difference between giving that opportunity and not taking responsibility for one's own needs, complaining? Okay, so Giving the opportunity is as simple as just staying with what's true for you, staying with the expression of your feelings, allowing for your feelings to be embodied, alive, and moving through you in any moment. Complaining is when we go into like, oh, it's really hot in here. It's always really hot in here. I hate how hot it is in here. And then the man's like, oh my God, you're a nagging, whining bitch. Whereas when we go, oh, it's a little bit too hot, then he can go, oh, okay, I'll turn the heater down for you. So it's being direct, it's being feeling oriented without belaboring the point. So hopefully that answers your question about giving the opportunity. If there was something more you were asking in that, Sufio, maybe just drop a comment for me. But yeah, that's how I've interpreted your question just now. Okay, we've got thumbs up there. Fabio, I feel I want to, and the reason is to be able to connect with her in first place. Second, if so, I can be able to master both energies and practicing energy healing. I'm attuned to a female energy, but this should not affect my life as a man. I want to empower myself to not attract any more those masculine female in my life. Definitely. So look, Fabio, at how you can cultivate more masculine energy. And you need to do it for yourself and not for a woman. So cultivating your masculine energy may mean attending some men's work, coming along to our Being Man Level 1 workshop that's coming up September 8 and 9. We cover the embodiment of masculine energy in a lot of detail. Can highly, highly recommend that. So if you have questions about embodying your masculine, come to that, and you can still have your feminine energy alive. My partner Rod has spent a lot of his life as a hairdresser, so he's quiet and he's also very creative. So his feminine energy is strong, but he also has a really strong masculine energy, and he knows when to use each of them. And Rod and I lead the Being Man Level 1 workshop together, and it's a really amazing 2-day experience. I can see that Rod's just joined. Hello, I was just coming to see you, Rod. I think I've answered all the questions now. So yeah, we've covered a lot of ground. I've actually been live for heaps longer than I expected, and Hades is in fine form. He slept the whole way through it. You going to say hello, Bob? That's his hello for all of you out there. Thank you for everybody's questions. It's been really, really awesome. I love the sharing. I love the community here. I will be doing this every Monday night. So if there's something in particular that you would like me to cover on a Monday night, then ask me on Facebook. Here we go. Sufia says, what about taking responsibility for oneself when it is so easy to just get one's own water or turn the heater on off? I feel like I'm manipulating or being something to rely upon, expect, i.e. offer opportunity for man to do X, Y, Z. Great, great question, Sufio. And of course, each of us can take responsibility for the heater, getting our water and so on. And it's about finding a balance. So I know I just said goodbye, but this is a great question from Sufio that I just got. So I wanted to complete on that. And yeah, just to say that, of course, we can take responsibility for ourselves. And there'll be times when I get water for Rod. There'll be times when I get him a drink. But the practicing of sharing our feelings, practicing of expressing what's alive for us is incredibly valuable. And it helps create that polarity between a man and a woman. So it's not about being dependent, it's not about manipulating or being unhealthy, but it's actually knowing that we can support and empower each other in those ways. If Rod's busy, of course, I'm not going to be sitting beside him going, I'm really thirsty, I'm really thirsty, I'm really thirsty, till he goes and gets me a drink, I'll just go and get my own drink. I know how to take responsibility for myself really well. The challenge is in vulnerability. And so that's why I've used things like temperature, being thirsty, being hungry. And equally, if we go out places, like I might say to Rod, oh, I don't feel like cooking tonight. Do you? And he might go, oh, no, I don't feel like cooking either. And then he'll be like, oh, what do you feel like? Do you feel like Thai food, or do you feel like sushi? And then he gives me the options, and I'm like, no, okay, let's go for Thai food. So that way he helps me and supports me to not have to make so many decisions. I find that always being in that space of decision making and directing and taking care of ourselves can be exhausting as women. So it's about leaning into our partners a little, just leaning in a little so that we can have more of the depth of connection we want. And the truth is, what I've found in my life is the more that I allow Rod the opportunity to support me, the closer our connection, the deeper our intimacy, and the more amazing our sexual experience, because there's more energetic flow between us. So I hope all that's helped. I am going to go this time. Thank you so much for all of your contributions and for being part of the Tantric Blossoming community here on Facebook. And as I said before, I'll see you again next Monday night. And a compliment there for Hades from Leonie. She says you're gorgeous, Bob. And you can see us back here next Monday. Bye.